Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Dinian bin Muhammad Alauddin. My mention number is 2021123663. So my part was introduction of federalism. So federalism is derived from the word of feudus, in Latin word. And also in federal system there are two levels of government, which is the first is federal and the second is the state government. So when we're talking about the federal system, they do share a power according to the rule of law and according to the constitution of that country itself. And also they do have share a certain of jurisdiction, and the state and also the federal, they do have their own responsibility when doing a thing like law, public policy and something like that, but according to the power of the constitution and the limitation that has been put in such country that are using the federal system. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Syaira Farzana binti Abdul Wahab, 2021105979, and I would like to explain about the features of federalism. Malaysia Agreement in 1963, it's the obvious focal point of federalism in Malaysia. This agreement supports the smooth operation of the federal system, and the ideal concept of federalism is for looking at the central-state relationship as it exists in Malaysia. Federalism have three elements that we have researched for, which is having two forms of government that rule the country and the people. Malaysia is a sovereign country, and also the division of power is based on a written constitution. Number one, according to the world, federalism as the existence of two levels of government, which is the central government and the state government that is independent of the other and has its own jurisdictional boundaries. They can only use their authority in the provinces when given permission by the federal government. Number two, Malaysia is sovereign nation or country. This is because since Malaysia became independent country, a culture of mutual tolerance has been cultivated. They work to receive the spirit of separation and togetherness so that it can continue to grow and serve as a lifeline. So this in turn leads to a peaceful society that will boost the economy. Next, number three, the division of power is based on a written constitution. So each of the administration with their own set of responsibilities in defining the division of power. This is so to prevent monopolization of authority become happen. So the grandeur of the constitution must be upheld in order to keep the federal system in place. Last but not least, the federalism system only complies with the demand for the distribution of authority at each level of government. This is evident from the federal constitution clauses that give the central government additional prominence.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Azra Hanis binti Azhari. Today I'm going to present about federal system in Malaysia. There are many different types of government in the world. Government are classified according to their economy, which include the goods and service they provide. They can be classified based on their political views such as dictatorship, aristocracy, theocracy, parliamentary, federal, republic, anarchy, and monarchy. Malaysia is one of the countries that has a federal, democratic, and monarchy government system, but it has a distinct form. The federal system of government has been adopted by many governments, including the United States, Canada, Australia, and Malaysia. Each of them has its own interpretation of federalism, as articulated by its constitution of federal law. For example, Canada, its constitution established an independent government for the entire country, but its grant that government limited control over the government of that provinces. Furthermore, the United States Constitution established a federal government that is superior to state government in terms of enumerated powers. control over international affairs, the currency and national defense are among the authorities. All federal laws are decided by the Supreme Court. As a result, Malaysia has a federal parliamentary and monarchy government system. There are several levels of government, including the federal government, 13 state governments, and local governments. The country is ruled by a monarchy and a prime minister who collaborate and consult. Malaysia federalism is unlike any other federal system in the world. The monarchy of the country is not inherited but is selected by the seniority and rotation by the monarchies of the 9 Malay states. Malaysia is a home to nearly 14 political and ideological based parties. The ruling coalition consists of 5 allied parties which are UMNO, MIC, MCA, Gerakan and component parties in Sabah and Sarawak. As a matter of fact, federalism was chosen over unitary state because of UMNO's Malay ethno-nationalism, which has led to the tight control of the nation state by the party. On the other hand, Malaysia has never had a federal party switch. Malaysia can be described as a centralized parliamentary federalism with party dominance. In short, Malaysia's federalism system of government and democratic principle may need to be revised in order to meet international standards.
Hi, I'm Aina Afrina binti Muzaki. I want to present about the factor in the value of the Malaysian Federation. Firstly, is the consideration of the law in private affairs, which is the effect of conversation when a non-Muslim marries a Muslim. This is an issue that has arisen for a long time after the enactment of the law reform at 1976 and has not yet been resolved. Is when one of the spouses married according to a civil marriage embraces Islam. For example, he does not have any right to resolve the marriage in a civil court. So, secondly, the value factor of Malaysia federalism is in terms of constitutional amendments that give full power to the federal government through the legislative body in parliament. The environment of the state government is explicitly stated here. However, the amendment regarding the change of territory to state boundaries needs to be approved by the state government. At the same time, amendments regarding the right of Sabah and Sarawak must also be approved by their state governments. Next, the value of the Malaysia federal implementation factor is the interference of the federal government in the states in terms of policy making bodies. The federal government will allocate council consisting of experts and academics to advise the states on current matters. For example, can be illustrated when the federal government introduced the National Land Law Council, the National Council for Local Government, the National Financial Council as statutory bodies such as FELDA and the Amanah Rakyat MARA. So finally, the interference of the federal government can be seen in terms of development plans. To illustrate this point, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong can claim any area of the state as a development area through Article 19.2. However, the terms Yang di-Pertuan Agong here can be addressed to the Prime Minister and his cabinet minister through his advice to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. In addition, the National Land Council will act as an advisory body for this development plan. An example that can be illustrated for this development plan is the Iskandar Development Region in Johor. That's all. Next, I will pass the next presenter.
Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's me again, Muhammad Daniel bin Saleh Alauddin. My matrix number is 2021236663. So, my part today was the division power between the central and the state government. So, in Malaysia context, under Article Active Sub 4, the state government, when they want to impose any law, they should any law or any kind of activity, they should to refer any division or any administration in the federal government state, because there has been stated in the Article 80 sub 4. So which means that even though the state government in Malaysia context, they do have a power to impose any law or any activity that are related within their states, their own states, they need, and there's a need for them to refer to the federal government. And also in federal states, in the federal government, they collected money from the visa, passport, road tax, corporate tax, and etc. While the state government in Malaysia context, they collect their money from the mineral, from the mines, from the council or city hall tax, and etc. They are related with it. And also in Malaysia context, if the federal government want to have a land in one of these states in Malaysia, they could get it, but within the state power. So the responsibility for the state government is they should use the law in their own states to make it happen that the federal government could get that land from that state that they want the land itself. So there's a lot of different the power between the federal and also the state government in the Malaysia context. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Anira Ala binti Rosli. My number matric 20111429. The relationship between federal and state government. First, in the Rule Council, the Majlis Raja-Raja is a traditional institution comprised of 9 sultans who hold the throne in their respective states. As a country that practice the federal system, the close relationship between the 3 levels of governments is very important to achieve the final say in shaping the country's progress. Therefore, the Council of Rules plays a role in creating a good relationship between the central government and the state government to facilitate governments between the 2 levels of government. The conflict between the state government and the central government indirectly will invite bad effect because the 2 governments are interconnected with each other in the administration of the country. And in order to create a close relationship between the 2 governments, the Council of Rules act to resolve any dispute that happen involving the central and state government. Next, the National Final Council. In the article 108 states that a National Final Council. This council consists of the Prime Minister, another minister designated by the Prime Minister. The Minister of Finance has been designated and representative from each state appointed by the King or Yang di-Pertuan Negeri. Next, the council is called to meet by the Prime Minister as many times as he deems necessary, and also anytime requested by representative from 3 or more states. At least one meeting shall be held for each 12-month period. Next, Prime Minister sums of council as many times as necessary. In a meeting, the Prime Minister may be represented by another minister, and meeting in chair and the Prime Minister or the minister representing him. Also, a day before the meeting, the federal will hold a meeting with the state finance official to prepare the agenda and to obtain temporary errors to the agenda and council meeting the next day. In the third, the National Land Council. In the Constitution, it is clearly stated in Article 91 where the government has established a National Land Council. This council aims to plan a national policy to promote and control the use of land through the Federation for mining, agriculture, forestry or any other purpose, and to administer any law relating thereto. Next, chairman or state or federal representative is unable to attend the meeting. The authority appointing them may appoint another person to take their place. And the next, land according to the Federal Constitution of Malaysia. In the Federal Constitution states, according to Section 40 of the National Land Code 1965, or the land in the country that is not owned is full owned by the state authority, which is the king and the state president of each state in Malaysia. The Constitution also provides the land is under the jurisdiction of the state government, and the state government has executive and legislative powers of the land. And the law on the was delegated to Parliament for the purpose of standardizing the law.
So, for the conclusion is there are two tiers of government in the federal system, which is central government and the state government that have independent authority over the same territory and its inhabitants. Federal system has its own unique characteristics, such as the existence of a constitution that explains the division of legislative, executive and financial power. It cannot be amended by one government alone, because it must have the highest judicial body to resolve disputes that may arise in the context of a federal state. Lastly, federalism must thus be respected and upheld by both administrations. It's like of promoting social cohesion and national unity. That's all from us. Thank you.